Week on Match Day was the most funnest thing you could ever do in your life. It's a show that you will never have again, that
Right.
kind of show, because the networks will never allow a show with total people that were totally unknown, like a Brett Summer, who would, nobody would, Charles Nelson Riley, who had just been, he's a player on shows, but he was not a star or anything like that, to be regulars on the show. And I would sit up top, right? And Brett would be bitching about everything. She was so upset. She was married to Jack Klugman.
Right.
And she would say,
which she mentioned every show.
but the interesting thing about that, she'd say, I was such a good actress. I was on Broadway, and then I did a lot of off-Broadway. I could have done Broadway, but Jack didn't want me to work. And son of a bitch, I was a great actress. I never got a chance to do anything. Then I had my kids, and I love my kids, but shit, I can't do anything else. And then down below was Richard Dawson, who would go, I'm trained, man. I'm a trained actor. So, and then we would have such fun. George Boulafont would be there. Nobody major on the show. And we'd be talking so much that the game is over here. The game's being played. But we're talking like
Right.
this. And then he'd say, and Brett, and you look, what? Oh, yes. Well, we're on a show. Sorry. And we would, and then the funny thing about it is we tape them all in one day. Okay? So you tape them all like on a Saturday. And then, so you have a whole week tape, and then the next day they would tape all 5 shows on a Sunday. But after the second show, everybody would go eat.
Right.
Okay? This was the problem. They'd have a vat or whatever of alcohol, wine. That third show, people would come back sloshed out of their minds. And keep in mind, we're under hot lights. Now, when we did Squares was the same way. And we had
Hollywood Squares.
Paul Lynde was on the show. And this was in the days before the gay thing, and the whole thing was in the beginning. Nowadays, you have to be gay. You have to take a course. It's just the way it is. You have to sign up and get your jelly and everything, and you just have to be in, and that's it. But Paul Lynde, who, oh no, I'm not, I don't know anything about this gay thing. He would come every week with a new nephew to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Some bodybuilding guy said, my nephew. Okay, good. Anyway, so he would come in and he would have a carafe of white wine that just said Paul on it. And he would drink that whole thing at the thing. Then underneath the square, he'd have the same thing. And just as it went on, he got more bitter and angry and that gay, nasty thing. And it was so fun. And the best line, whether you use this line or not, the best line he ever had, and you got to remember, it's way back in the 70s. So remember that. Mm-hmm. Way back in the 70s. The young guys won't know, but this line crushed the audience. Peter says, okay, Paul, it has failed in the United States twice. It's failed in France 3 times. It's failed in England 3 times. It's failed in Russia 6 times. It has failed in Europe 7 times over the years. It is now coming back to the United States. It has failed twice here. What is it? He says, the McLean-Stevenson show. They had to stop tape. It got such a big laugh.